And I am alive. Today we talk about Sinners, the movie from Ryan Coogler that just came out last Friday. And yeah, I'm excited to cover that one. And rewind, just before we dive deep into that movie that we will review, let's just take a look on when you search on Google Ryan Coogler, what do you find? This is what you find. He did a lot of movies we actually covered here on the channel. Uh, I think the guy is kind of big considering how young he is. He did a lot of very known movies. I don't know how much profit each single one did. I know Black Panther, the original one, did very well. The second one, I don't know about that. Now we are into Sinners, and I'll be honest. Uh, I haven't seen that many people in my theater. Maybe it's because it's Easter. Maybe it's because it's Monday. I don't know what went down there, but that was just another movie, and we were like 10 people watching it today, uh, which is okay. I mean, I've seen worst rooms, but Sinners is a movie I have been waiting for quite some time, and just because I just came out from said uh, theater, well, I for once don't have any notes. So everything is coming from my art and on what I remember from what I've seen in the last 3 hour ish, because again, I just came out from the theater and we always have these uh, trailers and all, and there's also the traveling in between. So now this is when we truly start to talk about Sinners. I quite enjoyed that movie. My only big issue with the movie would be the pacing. And it was mostly in the first 30 minute to 1 hour. I feel like the start of it before the party was very, very slow. And I don't quite understand why they really wanted to start with the end. In other movies, I could see why, but here I feel like it didn't add much more. All you needed is to see the son uh, talking to his father in the church early in the day before everything went down. That was actually important. But to him seeing with the scars and then saying one day earlier, you cannot spoil the fact that he will survive. So there's no tension whatsoever in the main character, and it's kind of sad. Uh, Outside of that, well, that was a horror flick. So I will already tell everyone we will spoil the entire thing. So if you have not seen Sinners, go watch it. I highly recommend that movie, and just click off the video and come back when you have seen Sinners. So Sinners is a movie that takes place in 1930-ish, and the story is basically a son that's an artist, uh, and he lives in a very in a community that has a lot of black people in it, and I think that's a classic Ryan Coogler flick, because I feel like he wants to put in the forefront a lot of black people. And this is amazing because this is actually good representation. He comes up with these new characters, that new universe, and it's not just race swapping people, it's really giving new characters, new stories, with black-led people. So it's surprising how a lot of the anti-progressive people out there don't come out after that movie and say, "Oh, it's woke," and that kind of stuff. Um, I don't think Sinners was woke by any means, but like the moment there's a black lead, we already see these sharks smelling blood and trashing something and calling it woke. Anyway, to get back on the movie, um, that main character likes to play guitar. I believe it's blues. And speaking of music, in that movie, the music was probably the best part of it. The action was also very fun, but the music, the music was very good and memorable compared to a lot of movies I've seen. That movie is the movie number 56 I've seen in 2025. Well, actually 2025 movies, because I've seen a lot more movies in 2025, but I've seen 56 movies that came out this year. And that as probably the best music I've heard this year. Uh, in recent memories, I think only um, only I really try hard, but only Alien Romulus left that kind of effect on me, and Strange Darling as well had that great huge music there. But these two examples are from last year, so I'd say from this year, Sinners has the best music, and we can almost call this a musical, but it's not really a musical. But like we can tell music matters to that movie, that story, and these characters. And the idea of that movie is, well, we got a musician that plays blues, I believe. His father is a preacher, he doesn't like that. And he hopes that his son will find his way to church and all. And the son is like, yeah, I like music. That's what I want to do. And he has these two cousins. These two cousins are gangster. And what they do for the living, well, they steal from other gangsters, and they want to make their own business, a new bar. um I don't know the exact words, but this is what they want, a new bar. uh, so they try to find people for that opening night to create a big party. In that first hour where they just recruit people and they try to flesh out one of the two brothers, because the other one is just doing other stuff in the meantime. But the first hour of the movie is trying to fleshing out the the main two characters, because let's be honest, they are the only two characters that truly mattered. We had some supporting characters for sure, but they they're just there as tools to push the story. They don't have a defined and great character arc throughout. Um, so this is our flick, and there are scenes that are really disgusting, like a good horror flick should have. And during that day where the brother, or I should say the cousin of the main character, tried to recruit people, well, we got vampires biting each other and spreading the disease. And most of the good moments we really get, and when the movie really picks up, they are opening that bar. There's a big party because it's opening night. There's food, there's booze, there's everything you need for a big party. And there you really get some small payoff on, I will try to remain PG, but bedroom fun. Because the main character and his cousin had that bond where the cousin was trying to mentor his cousin, the main character, and he was like, this how you satisfy a woman, and eventually in the party that gets pays off, and there's a lot of great chitches, free bedroom fun scenes, if I can call it that way. And I think this is mainly because these people are sinners. This is what's going on. With that being said, the movie, most of it is in the same place, and they still find ways to make it very interesting. And at some point, the vampire they just knock at the door and they're like, "Can we join you?" And they try to be innocent and harmless, and eventually, like, one of the character, she's like some kind of witch, if we can call it that way. She's like, I don't trust you guys. Therefore, because they don't trust that group of vampires, they decline their invite. They're like, don't come in, don't come here. And then they're like, okay, we'll just walk slowly in case you change your mind. And eventually, the two brothers, the cousins of the main character, they're like, yeah, tonight we were too generous with the clients and everything costs so much. We need more money. So they kind of change their mind and they send one of their friends to bring back the three vampires. And that friend get turned. And this is when everything goes crazy. We also get the doorman that go take a piss at some point, and he also get turned. And eventually it goes out of control. One of the two brothers that are basically the cousins of the main character just get bitten as well. And then everything goes crazy for like the next 20 to 30 minutes. We got a bunch of vampires, and they try to keep them outside, but they can't at some point because they are trying to manipulate one of the client in the bar, one of the friends of the family, saying, oh, if you don't open, we will get your daughter and we will make her suffer, we will eat her, and such. So that staff member lose her mind and she invites them. And I mentioned that because the idea, the rule of that movie that they tried to set up is to explain, yeah, these monsters, you need to invite them inside, otherwise they can't come inside. And it's very interesting because I think it's a metaphor saying there's no evil if you don't let them in, and there's evil if you do let them in. And this is what's going on there because the mother inside is scared for her child and she let them in, and they in the group inside try to fight these vampires. They're like zombies and all, and there's a lot of action, a lot of action, a lot of death as well, and a lot of self-sacrifice. That was the best part of the movie. And the music, again, I will reinforce that. The music was peak entertainment. So I will say I highly recommend watching this movie. I unfortunately don't have much to say. There's also a lot of tension. Um, they are the clan, uh, people in white that hate diversity, if you know what I mean. And some of the big bads at the very end are the clan. And one of the most satisfying part of that movie is just one of the cousin taking them down, taking them taking them down like a one man army. And that was great. So that movie is action packed when it starts. And again, the pacing is the biggest flaw because the first hour went on for too long. I think the runtime of the movie is like 2 hour and 17 minutes. I feel like you could have told the exact same movie, the exact same story under probably an hour and 45 minutes. Maybe if you really push your luck to really flesh out this character, maybe 2 hours. But 2 hour and 15 minutes, it's way too long. And again, most of what went wrong was in the first 30 minutes to 1 hour, because I feel like the moment you get everyone inside that new bar, that new place, things get interesting and much better. So it was a very fun experience. And yeah, Sinners, I highly recommend. Uh, I didn't really marked anything about it on Letterboxd yet. I think I will give a solid and well deserved 9.7 out of 10 to that movie. And it's a bit unfortunate we don't have that many other people that have seen that movie. I was hoping to get someone else on the show, but maybe I forgot, maybe he had something coming up. So that's also why we were so late tonight. Um, anyway, that was it for Sinners. Um, we will talk about politics later tonight, Canadian politics, because it's election week and it's important to talk about that, especially with the coming election that's very soon. And yeah, we are out for tonight. The next mainstream movie review will probably be The Accountant, probably Friday. With that being said, we are out. Have a great one, everyone.